has reached hurricane status, and it's only getting stronger over the Atlantic. See its newest forecast track and when North Carolina could feel its impacts.
And health plan hike. State workers call it a pay cut. Healthcare costs are going up while salaries stay the same. Why leaders say the move was unavoidable. Then student athlete payouts. Just how much will student athletes be earning? We look at who could be cashing in and who won't see a dime.
All righty, good to have you with us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. Quick note, if you want to keep an eye on that news conference between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, don't worry, that is happening right now over on Fox 50. If you want to stay with us, we will keep you updated on any developments. Meantime, we want to start off tonight talking about this. This is that big old storm churning out in the Atlantic Ocean, Hurricane Erin. Right now, it is a Category 1 storm. You take a look at this map, kind of makes you want to shoo it out of there, get it away from our coast. It is headed this direction, but Kat, right now the models are still looking pretty good. We're hoping this storm stays out to sea.
It is still on track to do just that, Dan. No big updates with the track today, but we do have some intensity updates. It's a hurricane, maximum sustained winds 75 miles per hour within Erin, and it is forecast to strengthen into a major hurricane by the end of the weekend. This would be just north of Puerto Rico. A Category 4 hurricane possible as we get into early next week with that turn to the north. And we told you earlier in the week a stronger storm would be pulled further north, so that is good news for us. But a Category 4 hurricane between the U.S. and Bermuda is looking likely by the middle of next week. And this is going to be a big, powerful storm, likely to churn up some pretty rough seas out there. High waves expected by the middle of the week. We're looking at 10 to 13-foot wave heights just offshore. Rough surf, beach erosion, and rip currents will be a concern. And rip currents are serious, especially since it's the last week of summer for a lot of kids. If you're headed to the coast next week, you need to be aware of this. The worst of it likely to come during the middle of the week. I'll walk you through our local weekend forecast coming up.
All right, that is an important note, Kat. Thank you. Let's talk about health and money. Premiums are going to be going up for pretty much everybody on the state health plan. The people in charge, they basically said they had to do this. They said the plan was way in the red, like $500 million in the red. So how much more you pay is going to depend pretty much on how much money you make and the plan that you choose on top of that. And that part kind of makes sense. But there are some other details in this plan that I had some questions about, like the prospect of free surgeries, weight loss drugs, and how these price hikes compare to the private sector. So I spoke to WRAL state government reporter Will Doran to get some answers. All right, well, let's start with premiums because they're going up. Everybody on the state health plan will be paying more each month.
That's right. There's nearly 800,000 people on the state health plan. Almost all of them are going to see their premiums go up. There's going to be a small number of winners. For example, if you don't make a whole lot of money and you've got kids who you insure, your bills could go down. But for the most part, everyone is going to be paying more. Some people are going to be paying a lot more. People who are the higher income state workers are going to maybe see their premiums triple.
Some of those people are folks that the state wants to hold on to. They don't want to lose them to the private sector. And this is often one of the benefits is you come work for the government and you're going to get really good benefits. How do they compare to that competition with the private sector to be able to keep good talent and to continue to recruit more people?
Yeah, that is definitely a concern. You're right. That's always been a kind of a guarantee of state government. And state workers are still, for the most part, paying less than people in the private sector are for their health insurance. Some private sector employees don't pay anything for health care, but a lot of people pay a whole lot more than what state workers are paying.
One of the big draws was a headline that caught my attention, a lot of people's attention, the idea of free surgeries. I was always told that if something sounds too good to be true, it just will be. This sounds too good to be true. But there's some fact to it. This is something they could pull off.
Yeah, if you listen to the folks at the state health plan, this is not too good to be true, even though you're right, it sounds like it is. But they say not only do they think they can pull off these surgeries, they think they can do it at no cost to the taxpayers like us. They think that they've got a system in place, and the math is pretty complex. Folks who want to learn more, we got some articles online about it. But they think they can actually pull this off. And the idea is, hey, if they can save people $5-10 grand on a surgery, then suddenly, paying a few $100 extra a year on your premiums doesn't hurt quite as much.
Let's rewind a bit to kind of that moment where most people realize there might be some money issues with how all of this is going to be funded. And it's when the state had to abruptly drop the coverage for those GLP-1 drugs, the weight loss drugs, things like Wegovy. That's something people really want to come back. And I know it's part of the conversation to be able to do that. Where do we stand?
Yeah, that is very much up in the air still. That was not part of the discussion today. The cost of bringing those weight loss drugs back is just so immense because they're so popular and so expensive that you couldn't do that by just adding, $5-10 extra a month to people's premiums. This is going to take the state legislature dropping millions and millions of dollars if they decide that that is something we want to do. And the legislature still hasn't come up with a budget, so that means no weight loss drugs for the health plan, and also key for state workers, no raises yet either.
All right, we'll keep watching. Thank you, Will. Will is the man. Check out his reporting online. Great stuff. Meantime, let's roll through some of the big headlines on this Friday evening. These are the 5 things you should know right now. So all clear tonight at Lake Johnson. This is after police were called to that area. Sky 5 over the scene for about an hour ago. A person there reported seeing something in the water. Police and fire crews searched that area, but to this point, it's not clear if they have found anything just yet. A 29-year-old man is dead. 2 others are in the hospital after this bad crash in Harnett County. Sky 5 over the scene on Ponderosa Road this afternoon. Troopers telling us an SUV hit a pickup truck head on. The SUV's driver, Lamel Lane, died. The driver and a passenger in the truck both went to the hospital. No word on their condition. Sky 5 very busy this afternoon. This was the scene over a gas leak in Raleigh. This is at the intersection of Highway 401 and Leland Drive. Enbridge Gas telling us a construction crew in that area damaged a gas link. Crews closed that part of 401 while they fixed the leak. The lanes are back open now. North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson put out a warning today about this new feature on Instagram. It lets users share their location with others on the app. AG Jackson worries the feature could pose some safety risks, some privacy concerns for vulnerable users like children or domestic violence survivors. Instagram says users can opt out whenever they want. Keep that in mind. You might be opted in automatically, so go ahead and check those settings. Another pair of homes in Rodanthe are hanging on by a thread. Hurricane Aaron's waves may be the thing that sends them into the ocean. This is along that same stretch of road where homes have been swept away in the past due to the erosion we have seen there. Earlier this year, 2 homeowners nearby chose to move or demolish their houses before the ocean could take them itself. Duke Energy is trying to do something kind of strange. They're trying to merge with themselves. You see, for years, Duke Energy has operated as 2 entities, Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas. What's the difference? Well, not much, really, but the company thinks it's best to merge those 2 together. Duke Energy claims this move is going to save billions of dollars over 10 years. But who's going to see that kind of savings? The company or the customers? WRAL's Kirsten Clark went to figure out what this really means.
We talked to Duke Energy customers today, and they're asking the same question. Many people tell me they could use a break from fluctuating and costly energy bills. But one critic says Duke Energy's history points to a different trend. One word can describe customers' attitudes toward Duke Energy's announcement: skeptical.
I don't believe that it'll save us money.
Right now, there's a lot of promises being made, and things aren't always being seen through.
Duke Energy's application to the State Utilities Commission says there will be no change in customer rates due to the merger before 2027. So I asked Duke Energy how this move would reel in costs. A spokesman told me the merge would allow the company to build fewer resources to meet increasing consumer needs. He says spreading infrastructure investments over a larger customer base would help lessen the impact on rates. And it will require Duke Energy to save maintenance costs.
The climate situation is desperate now.
I sat down with Jim Warren of NC Warren to hear his perspective on the merge. For decades, Warren and NC Warren have worked to change Duke Energy's business model.
Saving customers money is not consistent with Duke Energy's business model. In fact, Duke's business model is to put as many billions of customer dollars into the rate system as possible.
The announcement comes weeks after the state legislature overturned Governor Stein's veto of a bill repealing Duke Energy's carbon reduction deadlines. In a statement to WRAL about the announcement, Stein's office says, quote, Governor Stein remains focused on working to ensure the lowest cost, cleanest energy possible for North Carolina's ratepayers. According to the company, this merge could open a path to more efficient and cleaner forms of electricity production. But Warren is not convinced.
They want want people to think that they are green. In fact, Duke Energy is one of the largest climate polluters in the world.
A transaction years in the making, one step closer to a reality. North Carolina, South Carolina, and federal regulators all have to approve the move before any changes can occur. In Raleigh, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
And from the WRAL Live Center, this is Brian Schrader. The joint press conference between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin wrapped up moments ago. You can see the live pictures here from Anchorage with those podiums now clear. No specifics of any kind of a deal here. Putin said that he and Trump have reached what he calls an understanding on Ukraine and warned Europe to, in his words, not torpedo the nascent progress. President Trump says it was a productive meeting, that they haven't gotten there, but they did make some headway during the meeting. Again, no specifics given about any kind of an understanding or a deal, and they took no questions as that press conference ended.
All right, we'll wait for more to come out. Thank you to Brian. So we know student athletes can now earn money directly from their schools. What we don't really know is how much exactly they're going to make. Football is sure to cash in the most. We want to figure out what those salaries could look like. So let's head to Murph's Turf after the break. If you're like me, it's tough to keep up with the changes in college sports. It feels like, every couple of weeks or so, something new is popping up. We do know that this year universities will share revenue with the players, a little over $20 million per university to split however they see fit. Now, we know most of that is going to go to football. That's kind of the cash cow. At UNC, for instance, it's $13 million for the football team and $7 million for the basketball team. But how will those teams then split that money up amongst the players? Well, we took that question to WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy, and through the power of math, we got some pretty interesting answers. Our Ashley Rowe took a trip to Murph's Turf.
Hey, Murph, I need your help understanding this whole business of revenue sharing and helping me understand how the money is getting distributed. We've got $20 million to work with. Play out a few scenarios with me. One, if every athlete got paid the same amount of money, how much would they be getting?
Well, North Carolina has about 800 athletes. So if they gave everybody an equal share, it'd be about $25,000 per athlete, which seems like a great deal for a cross-country player, not so great for the starting quarterback.
No, and we know that that's not actually going to happen. So let's play out a different scenario. What about if we just look at the football team?
Well, we know that football is getting $13 million of that $20.5 million. So $13 million, if you split that up among all 100 or so players, you're looking at about $120,000 per player. Not bad.
But again, the starting quarterback's not going to stick around for that kind of money.
Right. That's not the way any team is going to distribute its money. They don't pay everybody the same here at WRAL. They're not going to pay everybody on the football team the same. And so they're really looking at an NFL model. What positions does the NFL value? Well, they value quarterback and wide receiver and left tackle. And on defense, they value, people who can get after the quarterback, the outside linebacker or the defensive end and the cornerback.
Okay, so let's play out that scenario. And let's specifically look at UNC. We've got Bill Belichick, who's coming from the NFL. So if they were to take a pro football model here, how would that all be distributed?
Well, in pro football, the quarterback gets about 20% of the salary cap. Now, in the NFL, that translates to about $50 million. Of course, they're not going to get paid that, but in college football, that would be about $2.5 million for your starting quarterback out of that pool of $13 million.
Interesting. And what about the other players?
Yeah, like the wide receiver group, generally about 11% of your cap in the NFL. The offensive line, about 18% in the NFL. That would be about 100,000, I think, if we're looking at this. And so, again, those numbers sound good, but they're not going to distribute it that way either. Everybody on the offensive line is not going to get paid the same. You're going to pay your starters more than your backups. Probably going to pay your left tackle more than your center.
I wouldn't want to lose a good player over a few $1,000s because, let's say we were over our budget. Because that good a player, we'd give them a little bit of the extra money to get them and figure it out somewhere else.
When do they have to decide how this money is getting distributed?
It's already been allocated. This started on July 1st. The football team's already made these decisions. Basketball and other sports that are getting this money have already made their decisions as well. And then it'll all start again next year on July 1st.
Let's talk about those other sports, because we now know how much basketball is going to get and how much the other sports are going to get too.
Yeah, men's basketball at UNC, obviously the most tradition-rich program, among their major revenue sports. And so basketball is going to get $7 million. That's way higher than what some other schools are allocating toward their basketball program. But Bubba Kenningham, the AD, explained today that, football generates about 65% of the revenue, so they're getting $13 million. Basketball generates about 35% of the revenue, so they're getting $7 million. The only other two sports at UNC that generate revenue, baseball and women's basketball, they're each going to get $250,000 in revenue share.
Wow, it's interesting. Thanks, Murph.
Yep, thank you.
From the turf to the beautiful sky, looking pretty nice here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm loving the new WRAL Garner Tower camera. The viewpoint, a lot of times we can see the rain shaft in the distance. Not now, just some puffy cumulus out there and a pretty sunset. The weekend looks pretty good as well. Looking forward to this. Highs will be in the upper 80s to lower 90s. Rain chances lower for the weekend. So make your outdoor plans. Even with that 30% chance of a storm later tomorrow, I think you'll have much more dry time this weekend than rainy time. Looking ahead to Sunday, rain chances just at 20%. As we look at the cloud cover, you are likely to wake up to clouds tomorrow morning, a few of those afternoon storms. Sunday does feature more sunshine, though. Pretty much dry weather for most of us, but it's getting hotter out there. The dual Doppler 5000 radar just showing a couple of spotty showers at this hour. Your Friday night planner in good shape. By midnight, temperatures are in the upper 70s still. It's warm. It is definitely still humid out there tonight. And tomorrow morning on Futurecast, you can see the clouds that will wake up too early. Lunchtime still dry. Once we get a little bit later in the afternoon, we'll watch for some of these just pop-up cells. They really could pop up anywhere. There's not a front nearby, not anything in particular that would be triggering those afternoon storms. It's just the heat. 92 on Sunday, starting out with some clouds early on, but not everywhere. Not everybody's going to wake up to the clouds. By 3 o'clock, we're mostly sunny. We will see a chance of a storm, but that's in the evening, and it's only a 20% chance. It would probably stay north of the triangle. Let's talk about Hurricane Erin, a Category 1 hurricane. It's a large storm. It's a strong storm. It's about 1,700 miles away from Wilmington right now, and the storm is likely to make the turn to the north on Monday. That's when we start to notice that northward motion. But let's pause this here. Wednesday at noon, it's forecast to be a major Category 4 hurricane. Here's the center of the storm where you've got the strongest winds around the eye wall. Now, moving between the East Coast and Bermuda is the most likely track here. We're talking about 200 miles offshore. But when you look at the size of the storm, it doesn't look very likely that we would necessarily see the rain bands, but you're just going to have this wind pushing a lot of water up toward the coast, and that's going to churn up some pretty rough and dangerous surf. So if you are going to the beach next week, anybody who is, make sure that they pay close attention to the lifeguard stands. If the red flag is flying, you really need to stay out of the water due to the rip current threat. Over the next 7 days, highs stay in the upper 80s to lower 90s. Very seasonal August weather in store. We have not had 90 degrees in Raleigh for more than 2 weeks. I mean, in the summer months, it's hard to imagine that, but I've enjoyed the little break.
Nice. It has been real nice. Thank you, Kat. The news is all about keeping you covered for back to school. We've been doing it for decades, and we found a story in the WRAL archive about back to school shopping that, let's just say, stood out a bit. It's your Friday moment of nostalgia next. We're 10 days away from the start of school for most students in our area, and by now, hopefully, you've done your back-to-school shopping. The news has been covering back-to-school shopping for decades. We went through the WRAL archive, found all types of stories: inflation, sales on school supplies, back-to-school business boosts, and those cute little Q&As with the kids saying what they're most excited about. But we found a story that we had not seen before. A reporter who looked at some back-to-school fashion and then tried on the clothes himself. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Have a fantastic weekend as we leave you with this, your Friday moment of nostalgia.
Department store registers don't go ka-ching anymore, of course, but that old-fashioned sound might be useful in telling about the new fashions for back to school this year, because whatever else it is, it's a story about money.
Some people get like a clothes allowance, like back to school normally like a couple hundred or something, just so they can get ready for school.
Just how far will $200 go these days? Well, let's see. Here's a real in look for school this year, the layered look with the jean jacket over the bright colored flannel shirt and a prairie shirt beneath that. Note the stone-washed jeans and the high-top black leather shoes. All name brand stuff. The cost? $135 for the jacket, $20 for the flannel shirt, $14 for the prairie shirt, $70 for the designer jeans, $55 for the high-top shoes. Total tab, $294. Getting ready for school sure ain't what it used to be.
Now, back when I was in school, if I'd shown up in this get-up, they would have laughed me right off the campus. But I learned something today. Even though I feel a little silly, they tell me I'd really be in for back to school now in 1986. I ask you, is this me?
This fellow didn't seem to think so, but the kids assured me I was right on track.
If there's anything wrong here, let me know.
No, you look good. Fine. That's what everybody's going to be wearing this year.
Ask a parent what's in style this year, and you may get this kind of answer.
Very expensive clothes that last one season.
There could be a way around the high cost of outfitting your kids for school. Tell them to forget name brands and dare to be different. See how far that gets you.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.